So I've decided I'm going to get a dog. I'm going to put socks on it. And I'm going to call it Larry the dog with socks on. It'll be a hit. A million views automatically. Maybe. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Movie Emporium's movie review of Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, the newest film from director Dean Fleischer-Camp. So Marcel the Shell with Shoes On is of course based off a YouTube video that came out about 10 or 11 years ago. It was created by Dean Fleischer-Camp and of course Jenny Slate, who voices Marcel. It was actually a huge hit when it came out. It was something that was part of the early internet days, probably the early YouTube days, and brought forth just this like really creative idea about this shell named Marcel who has shoes on, lives in a house, very sweet, kind of innocent individual shell character, and just is like a very young teenagerish type thing. So the worldview is very big and very open and stuff like that. And that's basically what this story is. It's a retelling of that YouTube video. Brings back Jenny Slate, of course, as Marcel. Dean Fleischer-Camp is the documentarian in this, and it's basically Marcel looking for the lost family, the basically the boyfriend girlfriend who kind of owned these shells kind of broke up, and they took other shells with them, so the whole entire family disappeared. And so Fleischer-Camp basically is documenting this whole idea of Marcel with, you know, his grandmother, who of course is played by Isabella Rossellini, who of course plays Connie, who's another shell. And we kind of go into this world of like how a shell lives with a house that they own, that they rent out, how they have a dog, just the kind of innocent nature of Marcel itself, how it's just like how he kind of looks into this world of just kind of interesting glory and just awe and stuff like that. We see how like the day-to-day operations of this world that these two shells live in. And it becomes not only because it's in A24 film where it is very strange and weird in its kind of portrayal, but it becomes a film about family. It becomes a film about what it's like to look for somebody that you've lost, the idea of becoming internet famous and how that affects your world, the idea of meeting the people that you love, the idea of just kind of growing even though you look different on the outside, the inside is like what most people should worry about. And it's just kind of a story about just a world where an individual has hope and love and awe inspired about the world around them and how that kind of plays out. And that's what this story represents. And it's also, once again, a story about a shell with shoes on. So the world is kind of interesting how, you know, it walks up the wall with like the honey and how it like, you know, lives in the garden and like lives and sleeps in a piece of bread and stuff like that. It's that type of story. So it's definitely an A24 story if you think about it. So it makes a lot of sense that Jenny Slate created this with Dean Fleischer-Camp, this weird kind of strange YouTube sensation that was Marcel the Shell with shoes on. It's very much up her alley. It's very much up her humor when it comes to what she likes to do. And because this movie is kind of it's like almost a little bit of a meta story on the success that Marcel had when it came to a YouTube video. This movie, because it's a little bit bigger budget, a little bit bigger story, and because it's famous, Jenny Slate and Dean Fleischer-Camp were able to bring in some other people like Leslie Stahl, who's like the main thrust of this movie, works for 60 Minutes, of course, Andy Richter and Thomas Mann, and you know a bunch of other people like just famous, you know, voice actors and stuff like that. It was a story that I don't really know much about, to be fairly honest. I never watched a YouTube video. I kind of learned this stuff as I was reading the show notes and stuff like that about the movie, and I was really intrigued by watching the first trailer. It's a very weird, very strange story. Like I said, once again, anthropomorphic shell that can talk and it, you know, has shoes on and has a grandmother, and everything about this is just I didn't know what I was going to get myself into. And once again, A24 has kind of hit it out the park this year between Everything Everywhere All at Once and X, and I did enjoy Men, that movie Men, and I think they have Bodies coming out which is really soon, which I'm really looking forward to. But this was a movie I had a lot of faith in, just in the simple fact that Jane Slate's a really good actress. It was based off of a YouTube video that people love, so I felt like this was going to be a movie that was going to deliver on the promise of what it was representing. And I have watched a YouTube video now, and it's actually really funny and really kind of sweet and charming. So I was expecting a lot of that in this movie with the original cast being brought back. So with that said, for my honest review of this movie, for what I feel about this movie, it's just like the YouTube video. It's charming, it's sweet, it's odd, it's weird. It has so much heart. It's voiced by a fantastic voicing Jenny Slate, who does a fantastic job in this movie as the very awe-inspiring Marcel. Isabella Rossellini is absolutely tremendous in this movie as the grandmother. You know, it's a movie that, you know, Dean Fleischer-Camp is directing as well as starring in, and I love how he's like camera shy, but he's like documentary and everything. And to watch him when 60 Minutes comes into the fold and how he like just feels so out of place and out of touch is a lot of fun. And the fact that he's like talking to a shell and how that doesn't feel weird and strange. I mean, if we saw like an anthropomorphic shell just walking around and talking, we'd probably scream and run away, but that just doesn't happen here because it feels like it's just part of the world. And just watching the interactions between them two and just how it feels very like the chemistry between the two works so well, and it's so much fun to watch. And you know, the fact that the movie we're watching is the documentarian feel, where like there'll be moments where it'll just cut for no reason, just cut, and there'll be a different scene. And I love that authenticity to it, and I love the ideas behind how it just is a very rough looking movie, but it's purposely done that way. And just watching as the world expands for Marcel and how protective she is, or protective he is, of his grandmother, and how that kind of plays out as they're searching for the family that have disappeared because of the broken up boyfriend and girlfriend, and how that plays out. And there's a sequence in this movie which I thought was absolutely fantastic, where Marcel, who is doesn't understand how big the world is, really feels like they could go out and travel down the road, and they could go up to like the highest point in Los Angeles or wherever this takes place in, and look out and find a car and stuff like that. And it just, Marcel comes to the realization that this is much more expansive than he ever realized. And just that kind of stuff in this movie is what makes this movie special. It's just a really well done, really fun, once again heartwarming story of a shell and the documentarian who made the shell famous and was able to, you know, do what they needed to do. And it just, everything about this really feels like it could be you could bring this story into like a human approach, and it would really work. But I think it works so well when it's a shell, and just how everybody just kind of goes with it and is fine with it. And it's like living in a world where superheroes or something like that, you just get used to it. And like I said, it's beautifully done, and it looks amazing. The shell apparently was part CG a little bit, but mostly looks like, I guess, they created it and maybe a stop motion character. I like that the mouth is really, really rudimentary talking mouth, and just like it feels like it's penciled on and stuff like that. And just everything about it just is absolutely fantastic. The dog in the movie is fun to watch and all that stuff, but in the end, it's a movie worth watching. It's a movie that's weird. It's offbeat, but it's very A24. It's very Jenny Slate. It's very what you would expect her comedy to be. It's what you would expect her, because there are very funny moments in this movie that are not played off as funny, but because of the nature of what happens are very funny. And what can I say? It's an absolutely delightful film that I definitely recommend. It's not going to be for everyone because it is a very weird A24 film. Everybody who was in the theater was clapping and laughing and having a good time. So I think this is going to be a crowd pleaser. I think it's going to be a movie that finds itself in VOD, a much bigger audience. But I think it's a movie that if you want a really fun, entertaining, kind of silly story that has a lot of heart to it, I think this is a movie for you. So, but with that said, that will be my take on Marcel, the Shell with Shoes On. Once again, a very fun, entertaining film from A24 and Jenny Slate and Dean Fleischer-Camp. Comments below. Have you seen the YouTube video? Have you seen this movie? Are you looking forward to this movie? All that good stuff. Let me know in the comments below what you think. But otherwise, if you like what you see on this channel, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium. Hit that notification bell at the top to find what's coming in next. If you like this video, awesome. Hit that like button. As always, we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out.